Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Co-op Podcast, episode 172. I'm your host, Rich Bailey Jr., and today I'm joined by Mr. Gary A. Swaby. How's it going, Gary?
Hey, what's up, people? Back on camera. Hope everyone's doing good.
Yes, absolutely. And unfortunately, we are the only two on this week's show. I believe that Max and Mr. Jake James Lugo, they have a lot of other things going on today, which is totally understood. So, there's a chance that somebody might pop on the show. You never know. But for now, I wouldn't expect them to show up this week. Although I'm pretty sure well, hold on. See, I spoke too soon. It looks like Mr. Lugo wants to join, so we'll work on that.
Well, there you go. This is what happens when you go live. Like, anything can happen. It's like watching an episode of WWE Raw. Like, anything can happen. So.
Okay. All right. So I'll get to him in 1 second. But yeah, we're also on camera, as you can see, because I saw that there was some people that one person in particular, Mr. Kennedy, shout outs to you because you said, hey, listen, man, you guys should be on camera. So we're on camera. So we'll see whether or not this actually works this week. If not, I'm coming after you. All right. So we do have a couple of topics to discuss this week, but before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask Gary what he has been playing. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, so I've been playing Overwatch, of course. I haven't let up on that yet. Still enjoying that. But I also did something interesting this week. I dusted off my PS Vita. I charged it up because obviously the battery was flat. It's completely dead because I hadn't played it in like months. So yeah, I dusted it off, charged it up, and then I went on PSN and I bought Persona 4 Golden on the PlayStation Network, and I finally started playing that game. And yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I really like the style, the dialogue and everything. The way it starts, it just kind of sucks you into the story of what's going on. You're at this you move to a new town, and then you're in the school and everything, and then there's like a murder mystery going on. So yeah, I'm not too far in, but I'm really liking the style of it so far. Because I really felt like getting back into some JRPGs and stuff. So I decided to start with this game because, I still haven't played it. Persona 5 is coming out soon. So yeah, I think it's about time I got into the Persona series a little bit. But besides that, I haven't played anything. I downloaded the Titanfall beta, but I just didn't get to play it. Like, too much of a busy weekend. But yeah, that's about it. What about you, Rich? Oh, Rich is muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties on my end. Yeah, so that sounds good. All I have played so far this week, I've played some Deus Ex Go on mobile devices. I'm actually writing a review for that right now. So the game is fun. If you ever played any of Square Enix Go games, you have a very good idea of what to expect. More so strategy. I guess you would call it a puzzle, a tactical strategy puzzle game. You basically move in different spaces, but you have to be careful because there are enemies. If you get in their line of path and you get too close to them, then they'll beat you down and they'll basically kill you. So, but it's a great game so far. I have a lot more to say about it, so stay tuned for my review on that very soon because I'm just about done with that. For those that are interested in the game, it is $4.99 right now. It's on iOS and Android. And if you play the game, you do get a couple of bonus perks for Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which will be out, on Tuesday. So that's one perk to playing. I haven't actually gotten any of those things quite yet. I guess I'm supposed to as I continue playing. But I'll be sure to let you guys know more about that in the review later, within the next couple of days. I've also gotten a chance to, of course, play XCOM. Great game overall. Still playing it. That's obviously a lot of my gaming habits are about to change because I pre-ordered both Deus Ex and Madden NFL 17. I'd like to give a shout out to Mr. David Jagno because I saw him talking trash on Facebook saying, oh, he's looking for people to play again. So I'll let you know now, David. I don't know if you're going to watch this video, but I will tell you to watch it. I'm going to let you know now. I will be available to challenge you this week. And the result will not be the same way it was in the past. I can guarantee that. So stay tuned for that. Last but certainly not least, I did play Titanfall 2. We'll get into that discussion because obviously Mr. Lugo also played it. We're actually going to get him on momentarily. But overall, pretty much that's all I've been playing this week. Really just getting ready for the other stuff that's about to drop. So we're looking forward to that.
That's cool. Sounds good.
Yeah. So
when does that?
go ahead.
So we're gonna get into Titanfall anyway soon. But when does the beta actually end? Because I definitely want to try it out. I don't want to miss the chance to try it out.
I believe that it ends late tonight. But the thing is, it's going on for 2 weekends in a row. So if anyone that hasn't played it this weekend, they can play it next weekend. And they're not really calling it a beta. I guess they're calling it a technical test, a tech test beta to some degree. Right. Basically just to try out the multiplayer and then also to do the training. Because I did both of those yesterday. And we'll get into a much more deeper discussion about that shortly. But great game. I will say right now, I already was planning on getting Titanfall 2 because I enjoyed the first game. I also reviewed the first game on the site. I did criticize their decision not to have a campaign. They had like a little story thing. They called a story mode, which I wasn't too impressed with it because it didn't make sense. The outcomes didn't make a difference. Similar to how Evolve did their story mode. But I'm looking forward to this game. I saw the story mode trailer, so very much excited and looking forward to what this whole game is going to be about. So definitely look forward. We'll have that discussion in a little while. So while we wait for Mr. Lugo to join us, we're going to jump into some of the topics. Since you guys already discussed this stuff, I definitely wanted to give some thoughts on Metal Gear Survive. Because when you guys recorded the React, also shout out to Mr. Tony Polanco and Emilio Lopez. These guys did an excellent job. I knew Tony was going to be pissed. That's why I'm very glad that he was able to make the show. I think a lot of people were pissed. There are some people that I did see in the comments that were positive about the news. I will say this as my official statement. So here's my problem with it. This is a game that was in development when all the stuff with Kojima was going on. For that reason alone, I can't just sit back and say, oh yeah, the game will be great, the game will be decent. Or it's a game that I definitely would play. No, because I know they were doing this the whole time. They were going through all this stuff with him. They didn't really give anyone enough time to forget about that whole incident. And that's something that I can't easily just sit back and just say, oh yeah, that had to happen. That was yeah, it's a game I'm interested in. Now I do find it commendable that the game will not be $60. That's great, but for me personally, I just think that the main thing is that, as you guys have already said, maybe the game didn't need to be called Metal Gear. It could have been called something else, but we already know that if it was called something else, it possibly wasn't going to sell because, I guess they figured, no, they could have said from the makers of Metal Gear, Phantom Pain, but no, they had Metal Gear in the title, so that's, that was their decision. But as you already know, I'm a Metal Gear fan. I don't think I'm a diehard fan like you and Mr. Tony Polanco are, but I am a fan enough to respect the characters that I care about most. So Snake, and and a few other people. I mean, I just don't think that this is. Well, I know this is a game I won't be picking up. Bottom line, and if Konami was going to announce a game, why the hell couldn't it have been Revengeance 2? A lot of people say they don't like that game. But shit, that game would have been 20 times better than what we saw in that trailer earlier this week. So opinion, though. But how about you, Gary? Let us know what you think about this game now that we know that it is going to be cheaper.
Yeah, my stance on it hasn't really changed. You know, me personally, I'm not supporting the game. I'm not going to buy it. But I do respect people who, you know, do want to give it a try and who are looking at it with fresh eyes. You know, because I mean, it's easy to understand what Konami's doing. You know, they own the IP, and obviously they want to make money off the IP, and they already have, you know, a lot of assets, and they have the whole engine from the Fox engine from, you know, the Phantom Pain. So I guess for them it's like, why not, you know, put out another Metal Gear game, even if it's completely different to what Kojima did. But yeah, me personally, it's just, if it's not going to be the same as what I fell in love with the Series 4, then, you know, I'm not gonna support it personally. But yeah, I mean, I don't knock anybody else that wants to give it a try. I do think they should have did like another Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, because that was a decent game. It was just short as hell, but it was, you know, a decent game for what it was. Um, so yeah, they probably should have did something like that. But I guess this whole thing is kind of rushed, because, you know, the fact that they're coming out with Metal Gear Survive means that it was already in development probably for like the past 6 months or so. So I guess at this point they just want to rush something out to meet their yearly, you know, their yearly target basically. So I guess that's why. And making a Metal Gear Rising Revengeance would probably take more time. It would probably take years of development instead of just like, you know, a year and a half or something like that. So that's probably why they made this move. But I do expect them to do more with the IP going forward. I was also expecting them to do a collection, maybe, because you know, they have the opportunity to do like an ultimate collection of like all the Metal Gear games, pretty much. Especially like Metal Gear Solid 4 is one that really needs to be like re-released on other platforms, because that's only on PS3, and like hardly anybody's going to go back to the PS3 just to play that, you know. So they really should maybe try and release that on more platforms so more people can play it, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who just didn't play Metal Gear Solid 4 because it was exclusive to PS3. So, you know, I do expect them to do some sort of collection at some point, but who knows when that will be. But yeah, now we got JJ here. What's up, JJ?
What's happening, my boys? What's going on? How you guys been?
Been doing good. We're talking about the Metal Gear Solid Survive that we spoke about on React.
Yeah. What did you guys cover so far? Because since I just got here.
Yeah, so I mean, this is really the only real topic we had to start off with. Asking about now that we know that the game is $60, now does this make it a better something that you would consider playing? So how about you let us know if you think the price changes your opinion, because it hasn't changed Gary or my opinion.
So wait a second. It's going to be selling for less than $60, you mean? Right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
They haven't given a price yet. But yeah, it's going to be less.
But it won't be full retail, basically.
No. Definitely
So
not.
to be honest with you, it doesn't change my outlook on it. I understand that this could be a number of different factors. You know, number one, good faith. You know, trying to put it out there. I don't think, and that's a little funny thing to say about Konami specifically, but also, maybe that's also a clear indication that this is going to be something similar to what we got with Ground Zeroes. Because remember, Ground Zeroes wasn't $60 when it first came out; it was $40 when it was out there. So maybe that's a clear indication of like how much like game or how much content we're going to get. This might not be a long adventure; it might not be a long campaign or whatever.
That's true. That's a very good point. I mean, they haven't announced the price, but yeah, obviously the less price, some people may be inclined to try it out. But I just personally, as I've already stated, I don't plan on really. I don't have an interest in the game because I know this game was in development with Kojima. They had all that stuff they were dealing with Kojima. I felt like they needed to wait a little bit longer if they were going to announce another game. But obviously, they know money talks, and they decided they had to do what they had to do for business reasons. So, But at least we know now, I guess, that this game will be out before Kojima's next project. But it is what it is. So, I also wanted to ask you real quick, what have you been playing this week?
So I've been doing a lot, I will say. There's a bunch of different things I've been playing. As always, again, doing a lot of reviews. We just posted our Metroid Prime Federation Force review that we finally published it not so long ago. The embargo just lifted up. I gave it about a 63 out of 100. I felt that was a fair score. I felt that it was a decent game. Definitely not worth the reaction that everybody had when the game was first revealed. It's not a game that kind of like, puts a black spot on the Metroid legacy. It's not a game that insults the fans. Definitely people should play it and kind of get a feel for it and form their own opinion after they've touched it. I saw a lot of people, especially as we got closer to the release of the game, that were saying that the game is automatically bad by default. Word came out that you don't play as Samus in the game, and it's obvious that it's more focused on the Galactic Federation than it is on Samus. She does make an appearance in a couple interesting different ways throughout the course of the game, but it's not her story. It's an outside story that's more focused on everything else, kind of expanding upon the Metroid universe itself, which I think is great because Nintendo has done this with plenty of their other franchises before. They've done it with Mario, they've done it with Donkey Kong, they've done it with The Legend of Zelda, the list goes on. And I think this is a cool evolution, or basically an addition that kind of, brightens up and kind of, expands a little bit on what Metroid is as a franchise. I still think we're going to get our, pure Metroid game, but, we still have this side game that's a little bit of an offering that's still a Metroid property, even though it's not the Metroid game that everybody else wanted right now. But that was one of the main games that I was playing. I'm still playing KOF 14. I can say that I have been playing it and that our review is going to be going up. At the end of tomorrow, I believe it is when the embargo lifts. I believe it's the 23rd. And that will be going up on the Koalition as well. Okay, we'll have a written review on there, and I'll be able to talk more about that at some point. I can also confirm that I did get Attack on Titan for PlayStation 4. I just can't say anything else yet about the game. That embargo lifts next week, so we'll be able to talk about that. You can also expect a review of that on the site, which should be interesting. And finally, I actually got a chance to play the TitanFall 2 test beta. The multiplayer demo, I guess you could call it at this point, on PlayStation 4. I know that it was available on all platforms. It was on Xbox One. I think it was also on PC, but I played it on PlayStation 4. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I played a bunch of matches of both the bounty mode as well as also I think that it was just a straight-on deathmatch. I think they call it something different, but I got a feel for the Titans as well as just moving around, the parkour and all that other stuff. Pretty awesome. I thought it was really good. I'm interested to see how the rest of that game turns out.
Sounds good. And actually, since you brought that up, because Gary hasn't played, he didn't get a chance to play the Titanfall 2 beta. I also did play it. I know you played it on PS4. I tried it on Xbox One because when I tried to play it on PlayStation 4, it took a long to download it. So at some point I'll try it on there. But so I just want to ask you very quickly. Is this a game that you absolutely would consider picking up when it drops in October, or do you still need to see more to come to a conclusion?
I still need to see more to come to a conclusion because I know that there's a lot that is changing up for Titanfall 2 from Titanfall 1. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a little bit much more single-player content injected into it, and that's what I'm interested in, a little bit more so than the multiplayer, even though this demo that was primarily multiplayer still got me really interested in the game. I think that's still cool. But I still need to kind of get more info. Maybe I'll wait after its initial release, maybe to check it out, with a friend or whatnot. But I feel like that's the smarter way to go about it, at least for now, for me.
Well, yeah, no, I totally understand that because I did review the original game on the site, and one of the criticisms I have was the way they handled what they called the campaign mode, which wasn't really that. It's a series of matchups where the outcome at the end, it didn't really matter all that much, and you had no context as to who all these other characters are, why you should care about them, stuff like that. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they do with the single-player story mode and they acknowledge it too, because I know that they felt like when they released the last game, it still was a little bare bones. They still kept releasing updates of other things. You had the season pass, all this other stuff. So I would like to hope that this time around, it's going to be a better experience. But But yeah, I'm looking forward to the single player as well. And I did play most of the modes that you played. The bounty was fun. I really enjoyed the training mode because that
Yeah,
was
that was
similar
dope.
to
That was a dope training mode. I'm not gonna lie. That was actually pretty cool.
that pretty much was similar to the training mode that they had with the first game, but this was a lot better because it just was better. But So far, I'm glad that they are releasing a beta. I know that EA is also going to have a Battlefield beta as well. I don't really know when that's going to happen. All I know is I've received emails about it, but there was no date as to when it's going to go down. But
I bet you they do a thing with EA Access for the beta for Battlefield 1. I bet you that seems like I'm surprised they didn't do it with this for Titanfall.
they could have did that. That would have been great for Microsoft, but I guess they figure, well, no, because I know they're going to have the whole thing with EA Access where you'll probably get to play the game earlier than on PlayStation 4, like they do with all the other games. Maybe you would play it 5 days earlier if you have EA Access, which is understood. But yeah, I mean, that's quite all right. But so far, as for like I said earlier about Titanfall 2, I definitely am intrigued by what they have released so far. I know I definitely will pick up the game. Obviously, I do want to see what the story mode has to offer. But so far, so good. So if any of you out there who are listening to this show, or either you're watching or listening, feel free to let us know what you think about the Titanfall 2 beta if you tried it in the comments section. Because I'm very curious to hear what other people think as well. So let's move on to the next topic. Gary, I'm gonna let you take over this topic because essentially you are the one that you're the one that wanted to discuss it in detail. So I'll let you. We're talking about season passes. So what is the question you wanted to pose to us?
Okay, yeah. So before the question, I'll give a bit of backstory. So, they released details on the Deus Ex Mankind Divided season pass, and basically that season pass consists of 2 missions. We don't know the length of those, but yeah, there's 2 missions. You also get 2 weapon packs, 4 Praxis kits, which I guess is something to do with one of the gameplay mechanics. You get 5,000 credits, and you get 5 booster packs of randomly generated content. So, that could be, it's completely random. That could turn out to be anything. It's an in-game item, basically, that will be randomly generated. And you can get all that for $30. So people are basically saying that, that season pass really isn't worth it, especially when you're dealing with randomized items and stuff like that. And then there was also some news about the Final Fantasy 15 Ultimate Collector's Edition coming out, and it's actually a pretty good pack because it's got the figure, the Play Arts figure, and I know a lot of people love those. Like, they're really good quality figures. You also get a lot of the other stuff you usually find in their collections, like the still case, the art book, and soundtracks and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. But it doesn't come with the season pass. I'm not actually sure how much their season pass is for Final Fantasy 15, but yeah, that doesn't include it, and some people are mad about that. But it does have a lot of bonus content, for the game specifically. So yeah, I mean, the question I wanted to raise was, because me personally, I'm not even a big fan of season passes, but I wanted to ask you guys and the people listening as well, so leave your comments. Like, when have you bought a season pass that was actually worth it? Like, where you actually feel like you got the full value of what you spent on that season pass? Because for me, it's hard. Like, I have to really wrap my brain to figure out that. And I usually don't buy season passes, like, because if you don't include something in the game, I automatically just don't care about it anymore. Like, I'm not spending more money. There are certain cases where I will do it, like for games that I really support and I really want to support the people working on the game. Like, I'll buy it in that case, but like, usually I just won't. So yeah, guys, give examples of a season pass that you really feel was worth it.
here's the thing. I don't have one that I feel that was worth it. I have one that really kind of helped shape my outlook on season passes, though, because I only bought a season pass one time, and that was for BioShock Infinite, and I'll never do it again. The reason why is because I felt like I understood what I was getting into, and I knew that there would be a long wait time, for most of the content, if not all the content, because paying for the season pass pretty much entitles you for all the DLC that comes out up to a certain point when they stop making it, I guess, or until they do like a second season for like the next year or stuff. You find a lot of that with like, FPSs like Destiny and such. But with BioShock Infinite, like, I was really, like, a lot of the other people hoping that we would get more single-player content DLC that was, like, a lot more story-based stuff. And we kind of got that with Burial at Sea. But I felt like it wasn't enough. And I felt like there should have been more in order to kind of give a little bit more value to the people that were putting down more money on top of the purchasing the game at full retail price. Because those are your hardcore people. And I felt like one of those hardcore people was like, I really want to play this game. I'm down for it. This is awesome. And all that other stuff. But I feel like I didn't get enough of that. And I noticed that amongst a lot of other season passes. Like, again, the wait between content, it's over an extended period of time throughout the course of the year. And, for some people, they'll be totally fine with that. And I was to a certain point. But then at some point, I was just like, I never went back to BioShock Infinite again. Like, this was like before Burial Sea came out. And I knew it was coming out, and eventually I went back and I played that. But I was more under the impression like I would be more excited over a long period of time because of like the content I was hoping to get and stuff. And I didn't get that, especially the arenas for BioShock Infinite. That little like arena, like, not like a horde mode, but it was like a thing where there was like a bunch of enemies just coming at you at waves and stuff. Similar to horde mode in some premise, but it wasn't like what I was hoping for. And it didn't feel like, that was like a good chunk of content that I was paying for that I was going to enjoy. And it really sucks. So I never got a season pass afterwards because of that. I felt a little bit burned. And even though there's other season passes that are handled much better, that offer more content or different types of content that are a little bit more attuned to the game that they're kind of going with and such, I just felt so burned at that point. I was like, you know what? I'd rather not. I'd rather just wait and actually see exactly like what am I going to be getting and then pick and choose exactly what I want. Because if it was up to me, I would have rather taken another single player experience like Burial at Sea over the arena stuff that we got for BioShock Infinite.
Yeah, and like that's the same reason I didn't buy the Fallout 4 season pass as well, because I mean that game has a lot of content already, so I was already satisfied. Yeah, I spent 2 months playing just the game, but I would support Bethesda with their season passes because they have a good track record. They release good extra content and stuff. But like when I heard that some of the stuff that they released was like you can build robots and there was like more stuff that you could build in survival mode, I was like, that's bullshit. Why didn't you just put that in the game? Like, because
why not give me a whole quest line? Is like more like it.
Yeah, like exactly. That's what it should be. It should be like it should expand the actual story. Like it should be a big expansion, really. That's what, we really should be getting with these season passes, not like extra little bits that should be in the game already. And a lot of times, like they would have already developed some or most of what they give away in the season pass, but they just don't put it in there because they want to sell it to you later. And I hate that practice. So that's why I don't support a lot of them.
You know what it is? You're basically taking a risk with a season pass because you're dropping like what, $15 extra $20 on more content, and theoretically, like the thing is you don't know exactly what you're gonna get, even sometimes when they tell you, because sometimes it could be just menial. And it could just be like whatever content, like that stuff for Fallout 4 that I would never use, like the stuff with the communities and such, or even any of the stuff that makes your communities that are kind of like Fallout Shelter. I would never use anything like that. But that's like a good chunk of stuff that they're giving to you that I'm just never going to use. So basically most of my money is going to something like that. And either I have to wait for whatever else, the real stuff that I want, or I'll never get that at all. But the point is there's always a risk of like not getting something that you want, but yet you're still giving them money up front way in advance. This is why I see a lot of people talking about why you shouldn't get a season pass, because you're basically giving them extra money on top of stuff. You're putting a lot of trust in them. Kind of like in the same vein of as like a Kickstarter, but not exactly, where you're giving them money early in advance and hoping that they do something and they give you something good with it.
Yeah, pretty much. So I do have a couple of things to say. First and foremost, going back to what Gary said about the Deus Ex season pass, I've heard that, I've seen a lot of reviews of the game, and just about almost every review said that the story is the area that a lot of people have problems with. And then I saw that the developers did a Reddit question session the other day, and they said that the DLC will address some of the other stuff with the story. So again, the issue I have with the season passes is, there's certain content that should already be in there. Let's take a game like Titanfall. Well, no, not Titanfall. Let's take a game like Evolve, for example. These developers decided to have 2 season passes so they could have more hunters and additional monsters here and there, but that pretty much was it. But a lot of that stuff, and then the whole time, mind you, the whole time that this game came out, they released a little bit of modes here and there to try to add more to the game. So that told me right off the bat that the game is not complete. When they released that game, they just released it. Then they decided to offer free updates, which is fine. I guess you can get away with that because then you are offering support to those that want the support for the game. But with the season pass stuff is very ridiculous because some people do a bad job of the practice, others not so much. I know that the Borderlands season pass content has always been great. So that's possibly one exception. But if you was to ask me the question of what have I found, which season pass did I find the most value in, it's very difficult to answer that question. There's one that I enjoyed more than others. That has to be the DLC for Assassin's Creed, the last Assassin's Creed game, because they had the Jack the Ripper storyline in there. That was pretty good. And then they also had a few other little assassin missions that you can do with new characters, stuff like that. That's about as positive that I could say that I've had an experience of a season pass. I also did pick up that BioShock season pass, BioShock Infinite as well, and the arena stuff. Man, they knew that the narrative is what everybody wanted, so I don't know why they had that additional stuff in there. Obviously, it was to hold people over until the narrative stuff was complete. But I was disappointed by that. I actually reviewed that on the site also. So it's just, now hearing about Deus Ex, I actually was considering getting the digital deluxe edition with the season pass. Now I'm going to reconsider that because what you told me today, Gary, only 2 missions. I guess they'll be story-centric, of course, as the developers alluded to. But I really don't know much else about that. And, of course, the developers said they're not going to reveal any other information at this time. But, I don't really know about the season pass thing. Definitely am very cautious of that practice altogether.
Yeah, for Deus Ex, it all depends on how big those missions are. But I don't think they'll be big enough to warrant the price of $30. But, because... that's an expansion right there. $30 should be like an expansion. Like, it should extend the story for like another 5 to 10 hours or something like that. But it's just 2 missions. So I don't know how long these missions are gonna be or whether they're gonna add a great deal to the game or not. Like, it's hard to say that now because the game isn't even out yet. But I don't know. Like, $30 is a lot to spend.
I'm sorry I have to do this, but I have to ask you this question, Gary.
What's up?
In this DLC, the season pass, will AUG Live still matter or no? It won't make a difference.
No, I don't think AUG Lives will matter anymore after that.
Well, we'll see.
That's cold.
Hey, I just, hopefully no one's offended, but people get easily offended these days, so we'll see. But, man, one other question I want to ask before we move on to the next topic. I know you guys, now, how do you feel about the collector's editions that don't have a season pass? Because I know there was an announcement that the Final Fantasy Ultimate Collector's Edition, the one that costs $270, will not have a season pass. And
I think that's total bullshit. That's total bullshit, to be honest with you, because and it's obvious because you're spending like over $200 on a big package like that. You are clearly in for Final Fantasy 15. Why wouldn't they give you the season pass for all that DLC? Why would they make you pay it again? Like, or pay more money on top of all the money you're dropping on there? Like, I get it. You're getting a figure, you're getting all that stuff, you're getting the Kingsglaive stuff, you're getting that huge package. It's a lot of money, and you're getting a lot of value with it. But clearly, I feel like they could have thrown everybody a bone because they are clearly in for Final Fantasy in of itself. So why not give that to them as well? Because now at this point, you have a disparity where you have a collector's edition that technically is not really complete when you think about it. You know, you're not going to get access to that DLC unless like it's included in like a download code for some of the stuff there. But even then, I feel like there's still going to be other DLC that people are going to want to get that's going to get on the season pass when they get it, or for all the people that do get that. So why not give that to the people that spend so much money like that?
I mean, like, me personally, like, I do agree that if you spend that much money, you should just get everything. Like, you should get the season pass. I do think that. But at the same time, I don't think it's that big a deal that they left it out, considering the stuff you do get. And, like, from previous history, like with the 13 series, the bonus, like the DLC that they've done for those games aren't that great anyway. Like, it's just extra battles and stuff like that, so you might not even be missing out on much. And you know, the Final Fantasy is an 80 plus hour experience, so I mean, you're still going to get a lot of gameplay. It's not like they're, you know, taking stuff out like to resell it to you again. I just feel like, you know, it's probably not the season pass for that game probably isn't even going to be worth it anyway, in my opinion. But we'll
probably,
see.
But all the more reason why I feel like they should have just thrown it in there. Like, it seems like a weird omission, you know, for a mega collector's edition that's cost so much money. I'm with you on that one. I get it, and you might be right where some of the extra content might be really menial and really stupid. From my understanding, it's going to be outfits, and it might also be maybe extra quests or extra items that you could possibly get. At least that's how it was explained to me and what I read. But we don't know at this point. And that's the thing about Season Pass, is you don't know the type of DLC that you're going to get down the line. It's always a risk. But in this case with Final Fantasy 15, it should have been in there. It should have been a complete package.
Yeah. I mean, I do agree. If you're spending $175, you know, you definitely deserve to get everything. But still, I don't think it's going to be that great, like the extra content anyway.
Whoa, no. $270.
Oh,
it's a lot of money.
Okay, yeah,
it's a lot of money.
Yeah, you best believe it better be in there. And I'm very surprised, Gary, that you criticized Final Fantasy 13, because you were the guy that always talks about, man, this is an excellent.
Yeah, I mean, the games are great. Like, the games are still great, but like, you know, because I played the extra content for 12.2 and 13.2, sorry. And I did enjoy it, like the lightning battle that you get and stuff. I did enjoy it, but like, I don't think, you know, I can't remember how much I spent on it, because that's another thing as well with season passes. It's all about how much it costs as well, because if it's like, because it's easy to overprice them, I feel like. But I think what I spent for that was like £10 or something like that, and that's really not that much for like an extra battle. So I was satisfied, but at the same time, it's not something you have to run to, you know, buy a season pass just to get that. Like, it's no big deal like that.
I would be a little annoyed if I bought that and I saw that like the first content from the season pass was like an extra quest or like something extra that was story based. I could totally understand that guy being pissed off at that point. But if it's like what you said, if it's like extra outfits like what I mentioned, or anything really like small time like that, then I could get it. Like, okay, it's like whatever. Yeah, I got the better edition, clearly.
Yeah, like if it comes out that the extra content for Final Fantasy 15 is some extra costumes, an extra boss battle, stuff like that, and it's like $10 to $15, then I mean, I don't think it's that big a deal that they left it out of this package, because that doesn't sound like a big deal anyway, like that extra content. But like, if it's some big, you know, story, something that's integrated within the story that expands the story and stuff, and they didn't include it, then yeah, it's a slap in the face for people that spent that much money, I guess.
Like, it'd be crazy if the first piece of content for that season pass was related to the Kingsglaive movie. Like, it was something that was in game related to that movie that connects the two together even better. like that, because the movie and the game are supposed to go parallel to each other. But like that's what I'm saying though, is like it all depends on what that first bunch of DLC content is and what exactly they detail about it. But who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely want to hear more opinions on it because, like, me personally, I hate season passes. Like, I'll buy it if it supports, you know, the developers. If it supports a franchise or a series that I really love, I'll buy it. But, you know, in general, I hate the practice personally. But yeah, I want to hear what other people think. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Um, we'll see. Yeah, I know. I'll be very curious to see what people think also. 'Cause the season passes, touch and go with some. But I do agree, the Final Fantasy should possibly have the season pass. It's almost $300 you spending. It would be $300 if you conclude the season pass. So I don't understand why it's not included in there. But
Yeah, speaking of collector's editions as well, which one was it that the collector's edition doesn't include the game? I forget which game that was.
Battlefield.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was stupid as well.
Yep, that's the other one. Yep. And you're a Battlefield fan, but you know what? I'm not surprised with EA because I'm still not happy about what happened at E3 with EA. So it's all good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was stupid, especially for Battlefield, like, because who even wants who's rushing to buy a collector's edition for Battlefield? Like, I mean, I usually buy the premium version that gets you the season pass and stuff because I really do like Battlefield and I feel like the extra content they add to that is really good. Like they add some great maps and stuff, and I'm really into like the Battlefield stuff. I mean, I don't like that I have to pay that much extra, but I will do it because it's one of the franchises that I support and I really like. But yeah, I mean, as far as the collector's edition, like I don't understand like who's rushing to buy that, especially if it doesn't include the game. Like it's really stupid.
That's a very good question. Well, hey, we'll see. Well, no, definitely looking forward to hearing what people think about the season passes and these collector's edition in the comment section. So let's go to the real final big topic for this week because obviously this discussion might take a while to really go through. But during Gamescom, Aaron Greenberg had an interview with Engadget, made a couple of interesting statements about the Xbox Scorpio. You want to look for some direct quotes. He basically said that he envisions that the Scorpio will put an end to this console generation. But he also alluded to the fact that he thinks it's part of the family, part of the family of consoles that Microsoft offers, the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, and eventually the Scorpio, which name will more than likely change. So the question of this week was, do we think that this risk is a good move for Microsoft? Do we believe that he could be correct in what he says? Or do you think that it's going to be a situation where the console generations are going to continue onward because Microsoft will see that Sony decided to release a PlayStation 5, and so they say, oh, well, now we got to release a new Xbox as well. So how about you start off answering this question, Gary?
Yeah, from a technical perspective, I think it's still going to be generations, like by the technical, like by every sense of the word, it's still going to be generations, like the new consoles. But I think their approach is just going to be different, and they're not going to refer to it as a generation anymore. Like I think they just want to kind of exclude that word as a whole, and they want you to see it as more of like a full-on ecosystem that you buy into. So you buy these games on the system, and that game is going to work moving forward on every platform that they release. So I think it's just their way of saying, yeah, so now you're buying into our experience, and when we release a new system, technically it's a new generation of system, but we're not calling it that. It's just the next iteration of the family. It's the newest edition of the family. And obviously this is their way of going to the iPhone, the Apple method of releasing hardware. And I think, that's really what they want to go to, especially Microsoft. I think this is where they really want to go to. In terms of Sony, whether, they'll release a PlayStation 5 or if they'll just, release, PlayStation Smith, because they seem to be obsessed with the Matrix. So, the next one might be PlayStation Agent Smith or something like that. Who knows? But yeah, whatever they call it, I don't know. Like, I don't know what Sony's approach is going to be, if they want to eliminate the whole generation thing or not.
Here's the thing, like, I kind of agree with Gary to an extent, because one of the things that I noticed, like, especially between Scorpio and also with PlayStation Neo, is that it, like he mentioned, they're taking a very Apple-esque type of strategy or approach to it. I think it's more of a mobile type of thing, where I've seen it, a couple people talk about it in the past, like, this whole idea of going from the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation Neo, whatever that console might be, because I think the name's going to change at some point. But whatever that console might be, that's the same type of approach that you get in the mobile market, where a phone will come out, the iPhone will come out, then you get like the iPhone S, or then you get the iPhone 5, and then you get the iPhone 5S, or whatever else variation of that, and you keep going. You have all these different pieces of hardware, even though they're essentially kind of the same thing. It's just that it's all separate hardware that you have to buy in order to get the latest model. I don't know if that's necessarily going to work. I don't think like it's really going to kind of be that great the first, like, maybe again, not using the term generation, but like with these consoles, like right here, Scorpio, Xbox One Slim, and then Xbox One now, and then PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Neo, I think a lot of people are going to be a little bit turned off by it, because the idea is that when you dive into a console, in the gaming industry, it's always been traditionally, when you dive into a console and you join an ecosystem like that, right, you're usually in it for a while. You're in it for like maybe about over 5 years, give or take, here and there, depending on what generation that we're talking about. But from what the sounds of it, like what they want to do is such, and like what you guys were mentioning about joining up the family or the Xbox family or the PlayStation family and stuff, is that they want to continuously be able to have new types of hardware out there for people to buy and such, when essentially it's not really that much of a gap or a jump in either, whether it's technical specs, fidelity, or any type of stuff that they could do for the different games that they design, or, that anybody develops and such. So I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily a great thing. It sounds like there's going to be issues, especially now when PlayStation Neo gets revealed, and I'm pretty sure eventually also when Project Scorpio also gets revealed, because apparently they're touting that off like the next coming of Jesus for game consoles. Like it's a really big beast, and I could totally understand. Like again, developers are really excited about it and stuff, but again, if we're really focusing on like what you said there about there being like an Xbox family or PlayStation family or an ecosystem like that, I don't know. I feel like there'll be some pushback from consumers at first from the start.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of what you both had to say about the subject. I think that one thing that I've always said about Microsoft is that or with any company, the messaging is important. So you be very clear and concise as to what you're doing. I don't necessarily think it's a bad move by Microsoft. I think it's a move that makes a lot of sense. They want to focus on software. They want to focus on basically building a library. They said multiple times the Scorpio, that is going to be not just the 4K stuff, but also mainly for VR support. So I'm assuming that there will probably be some VR-specific titles that will be in development, or there will be a couple of current games that will have VR functionality on that device. But they always maintain that whatever device you have, the game will work on it. Whether it's an Xbox One or Xbox One S or Scorpio, it'll work on all three. But obviously there will be some changes in regards to what the Scorpio can do versus what the Xbox One could do. But I don't see a problem with the move. I think it's great. It still does make me interested and excited to see what actually comes out next year, or what they reveal about this system. But I do think that to say that this is going to be to be the last I guess technically you could say the last console for this generation, or to just end console generations in general. I mean, we'll have to see how that how that goes. That statement could be taken in a lot of different ways. So we'll have to see how it goes. But I don't have a problem with that decision to be so open and honest about what it is that they're trying to do with Scorpio.
Yeah, I think an important thing to keep in mind as well is that going down this path, both companies will affect the leap you see from, you know, system to system. Because, you know, when the Sega Saturn first came out, that was a huge leap in terms of, you know, technology, like the performance, the types of games you see. You know, PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2 was a big leap, and even to PlayStation 3, you know, those were big leaps. Those were notable leaps in terms of technology and, you know, the quality of the games themselves. And I think if both companies go down this path, the leaps won't be as great from system to system. Like, I think it would be, you know, it would probably be about 3 systems before you actually start to see a leap from what, you know, the PS3, the PS4, the PS4 and the Xbox One or Scorpio was, you know, because if they go down this path, they're going to want to release hardware more frequently, because that's what Apple does, right? They release it every year. And I'm guessing that they would try to release new hardware every couple of years or every 3 years or something. But they have to be smart about the pricing if they're going to do this. So they're not going to go for the highest level of components that they could possibly put into the system when they go about releasing the new system. Is going to be a bit lower end. So effectively, the games themselves that release, they'll just be slightly better from each system, you know, going forward. And you wouldn't really see a huge leap until like 3 new platforms down the line, pretty much. So I feel like this might halt, it might put a halt on the actual leaps and bounds you see when you move to new systems. And I think it's more of a performance thing where the performance of the games themselves will run a little bit better, but you won't see a big visual leap, you know, until consoles down the line. So I think that's one disadvantage, and that's why I also feel like PC gaming is the way to go right now, because you have more control over the components that you want to put in the system. So if you do want to see leaps, you can buy the most expensive, you know, card or whatever. So, yeah,
that's true. All right, let me make a couple quick statements. Yeah, you made a lot of great points. I do have a question. Before I get to that question, though, I will say this. I think that yeah, what you said about the different leaps and bounds, it's definitely going to get shorter. I do know what you said about the performance. I believe that is the only reason that that's the thing that Microsoft is really talking about, right? You know, because, you know, we saw the trailer. They said the most powerful console ever created. You know, I know that they were very hurt by the fact that they see all these videos that are put up by Digital Foundry and all these other places making comparisons about how a game runs on the Xbox One compared to the PlayStation 4. Because I actually saw a video earlier about Deus Ex. And, of course, you know, Deus Ex, not 1080p on Xbox One, but 1080p on, you know, PlayStation 4, and running at the 30, you know, both games run at 30 frames per second locked, as the developer said that it would. Now, obviously, the PC version will run higher, but yeah, I know Microsoft is not really happy with the videos that are always out there about the performance of the system. That's why they wanted to tout this as the most powerful console. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the leaps and bounds, how, you know, whether there is a noticeable difference or not moving forward. The question I did want to ask you both, though, is I know we've already discussed about this is going to be an expensive system. Obviously, you know, all the stuff that they're talking about is very ambitious, but I wanted to ask you both, do you think Microsoft would sell this system at a loss, whereas they will make it cheaper? Because you have to remember something, Microsoft, this is a billion-dollar company. They have their hands in so many different things. I don't see why they can't consider selling the system for a little bit less than what you would expect it to be. But I wanted to get you guys' opinion on that, because I think they may be considering that.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance they might sell it at a loss, and maybe that's where the whole idea of putting out the games on Windows as well comes from, because then that makes a bit more money for them on the side as well. Actually having PC gamers be able to buy the games. So maybe that plays into it a little bit, and maybe they're willing to take that loss a little bit. Maybe the loss won't be too significant, like maybe it'll be like $20 or something like that. Like I don't know. Like we gotta wait and see. But I do expect that system to be pretty pricey though. So we'll see.
Me too. Me too. I'm with Gary on this one. I think that the pricing is going to be a huge thing for a lot of people because it's going to be that luxury system, for both Scorpio and arguably PlayStation Neo, depending on what we hear next month. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just that it's one of the things that I think that they're going to both have to deal with, especially no matter what comes next or as they move forward, is messaging. It's like telling people and assuring people that regardless of whether you jump in now or later like that, you're still going to get a quality experience from the console. Because like I've seen a lot of people, specifically Colin Moriarty, constantly talk about with PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Neo, as soon as like someone like Naughty Dog or like Guerrilla Games comes on stage and they show either Uncharted 4 or Horizon Zero Dawn riding on the Neo, and they're saying or they're showing that it's the better version of the two, the first question that's going to come out of everybody's mind is going to be like, okay, so I get the worst version or I get the more inferior version compared to this. Like now I have to, in order to get the really the kind of quality that I thought I was going to get diving into this system, now I have to spend another 400 or 500, probably more, in order to kind of get that was initially promised to me. Like again, and you can say the same thing about Xbox, the Xbox ecosystem as well for the people that bought Xbox Ones or the Xbox One S now at this point. Because apparently, technically, Scorpio is coming next year, or at least they're going to talk about Scorpio next year. You would think, and at least you could hypothesize that the console drops at holiday next year. But those are questions I feel like that's going to be a significant problem for both of them going forward.
Those are that right there is a very good point. Yeah, the messaging is going to be an issue. I know Sony has already said, we were at that Sony conference. They said all the games that you saw at that conference run on PlayStation 4. So I'm very curious to see what the difference is with the Neo in relation to this, and we'll get that answer in a couple of weeks, obviously, but. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And as far as the price is concerned, I'll be very curious to see what they're going to price both these consoles. Because I don't know if Microsoft is going to again make their console the most expensive one out of like they did with the Xbox One and between the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. I don't know if they're going to say, yeah, we're going to make this, what, $700-800? I have no idea, but like I said, to me, the only thing I care about is messaging, because that is how you basically sell people on the products. Whatever the elevator pitch is, they've already said this is the most powerful console, so now I want to see what that actually means. And I would expect there to be some type of comparisons, like you said, comparing the original Xbox One to this system. But either way, I'm very excited, interested, looking forward to seeing what both companies do show us when they do reveal these systems. But you guys have any other final thoughts on this topic before we wrap it up?
No, I'm good.
I mean, the last thing I want to say is I do think, VR is probably a big reason for a lot of this as well. Because the industry seems willing to really get behind VR. And I think VR itself will have new iterations. Like I feel like the technology in, all of the VR headsets and stuff are going to get significantly better moving forward. Like, the ones that are coming out now, like the Vive and the Rift and PlayStation VR, they're just essentially first generation VR headsets. And I feel like those are going to get more powerful too. So I think Microsoft and Sony wants that flexibility to be able to put out new systems that can cope with the change in VR if it really does take off as well. So that might be a thing why why they want to go this direction as well.
Yeah, very good point. Yep, that pretty much is what you just said. VR definitely is the main reasoning behind this. So we'll have to see. I can tell you right now, I played a couple of VR games on the HTC Vive, the Oculus Rift as well. And I mean, I think the games are great. I'm not really sure if I would buy either one of those devices for any of the one games that I did play. But I would say the technology is promising. You need some killer apps though to obviously push that forward, and that's something that both Microsoft and Sony are going to have to do if they are going to be going into this VR game. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we'll have more information, soon. Well, we'll know about PlayStation, Neo in a couple of weeks, and we'll know about Scorpio. I'm guessing, either later this year, but more than likely E3 next year. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, you good on final thoughts?
Yeah, that was all I had to say for that topic. But if we're going final thoughts, shouts to all the Patreon supporters. We got some new ones, so I want to make sure I shout everyone out. Marcus Collins, Gority, Michael Hatcher, and Stephen Ferron. Sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, but yeah, shouts to all you guys on the Patreon. We just released Turn-Based, which is a show that we used to have that's completely about role-playing games. So we've released an exclusive episode of that on the Patreon, so you can pay as little as $1 to get access to to that show. That's myself and JJ, and we discuss our top 5 RPGs of all time on that particular episode. But we'll also be doing more episodes, at least one a month. But there might be months where we do 2 or 3, depending on what's going on in the industry and topics we want to discuss and stuff like that. So yeah, that will run alongside like the verses and the other exclusive things we're doing for Patreon. So shouts to you guys, and shouts to everyone who was in the chat today. Charles was in there, so shouts to him. Shouts to Popular Guys. Shouts to Chris Jordan, Valagus, and John D. Shouts to all you guys for being in the chat.
So yeah, I mean, just shout outs to everybody. Shout outs to everybody that's just showing us support on the website, on the YouTube channel, on the Patreon. We appreciate you guys always. Again, your time, your patronage, all that stuff really helps us, allow us to do what we love to do and keep bringing you guys great content and such. That's always a good thing. Shout out to everybody that's just been commenting, whether it's in the chat, whether it's in the comment section of videos, or just the comment sections of the website and our reviews or our podcast, anything that we do. We always appreciate the feedback. We always appreciate your guys' thoughts to keep the discussion going. So never stop. Keep telling us what's on your mind. Keep those conversations and those discussions going as much as you can. We love it. We appreciate it. And we appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. I can't say it better than these guys. So both said it. Yes, we do appreciate the comments. We thank you all for the continued support. We do have quite a bit of things in the works. I can't really discuss any of some of this stuff now, but you'll hear some stuff. And then we do have a contest coming up for another giveaway very soon. So stay tuned for that. But we thank you guys for the continued support. As I said earlier on the show, stay tuned for my Deus Ex Go review. That should be done soon. And look forward to all the other content coming out later this week. We'll talk to you guys next week. Take care. Have a great rest of the week.
Have a good one, everybody.
Peace.